And how are you? This is Reverend Jess Foglesong. We have a great message for you today, and the message is called A Day in Infamy. God woke us, the United States of America, up on December 7th, 1941. Well, in early December of the Christmas, as you know, the Christmas spirits start to fill the air. The television, the radio, and the internet airways, that is. I, as well as a professional vocalist, begin to vocally expound Yuletide tunes as I make my rounds at various communities, singing Christmas carols, such as Silver Bells, the Christmas Song, Deck the Halls, and many more. It seems like every year we eagerly march past another very important time in history. Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. Yes, the hype of getting ready for the holiday seemed to shroud this day in infamy. I will always stop to reflect on December 7th, 1941, when we lost nearly 3,000 souls. My dad was there. He was a young sailor on the battleship Oklahoma. Thank heavens he survived the attack, as several torpedoes struck the ship, turned it over onto its top. Many were trapped below, but many dove off, and some clung on until it was too late, and had to. And my dad, of course, had to climb over onto the outer bottom hull of the ship, then diving off into the oily water, only for many to be killed by the enemy's 50 caliber Zero aircraft machine guns, and the water as well was very oily, but they picked him off as a joke. But my dad survived all of that and lived to eventually meet my mom a year later, married her, and raised 6 children. He never talked about those tense moments. I tried to get him to tell me some of the stories, but the images that he saw was too much, as it is with many who experience the evils and devastation of war. He is in heaven now, along with my mom, but I will always appreciate his sacrifice to keep us free. Yes, it was a day in infamy as President Franklin Delano Roosevelt spoke to the nation and reminded us of the importance of freedom and liberty, that we should never forget this tragic event, that we should stand up and fight for a greater cause. And with God's help, we will endure. Through complacency and isolation, America had become so rooted in self-pity stemming from the Depression years that most of the world branded us as weak, unable to cope with the global problems. And so, chaos invaded our domain in one devastating swoop. Unfortunately, evil does lurk in every direction, as the darkness of the universe is the norm, and we will inundate into the light if not pushed away. And that is what God has been doing throughout our entire geophysical history. He is aware of the nothingness, of the emptiness, of the void. He is constantly warding them off. He never ceased to let go. Without his touch and without his tender care, we are doomed. We would fall. So what happened on December 7th, 1941 should have been a reminder and a lesson that it is always best to be strong and to anticipate that the root of evil is constantly tugging away at goodness. Fortunately, God is also fighting a war unseen by mortals. He had been accused of being weak and arbitrary by one of his created beings, and that would be Lucifer. The forces of evil, assuming that God allows all to do whatever they please. Whatever they please. Not the case. God's government is based on love, as well as justice and righteousness. He manages a kingdom that assures that all are treated with dignity and respect. It is a tightrope to be fair and at the same time to have justice. And when an accuser goes out of his way to bring down the Father, he is in for a big surprise. Just as the Emperor of Japan and many of his military leaders, such as Admiral Yamamoto, surmising that America was weak and incapacitated, they neglected to understand the underlying strength of a sleeping nation, that the people of the United States could stand up and defend its honor and dignity, to fight for truth, justice, and freedom, enabling all to live in peace and harmony. No doubt he had awakening a sleeping giant. And that also is the purpose of who God is. He has instilled in all of his created beings the will to be free of tyrants and evildoers. We are made in his image. His character is echoed through our intellect and spirit. We should always somehow be reminded of this fact. Keep the fire brilliantly burning. Keep the light brightly shining. Keep the rays of the sun beaming. We must be on top of it all. December 7th is a reminder. September 11th is a more recent reminder. We must be strong to deter those who want to devour and destroy our way of life. Thank heaven, God is and will always be there to assist us. You may not know it, but in a subtle way, quiet way, he stands there beside us, all of us, each of us. He stands there right next to you on the wings, holding you up through his grace and his strength. Ask for strength from above. Yes, it was a day of infamy, and we will never forget it. We will never forget. We were awakened by God of our responsibilities. All right, we'll stop there. Again, this is Reverend Jess Foglesong from touchedbygodchurch.com, Touched by God Church World Ministries on Facebook. Take a look. God's blessing to you today.